Welcome back everybody to day 3 of my holiday scrapping videos. Today our guest is Kelly Barron, and she has a great YouTube channel, so she does some absolutely beautiful layouts, so please go check out her video for day 3. For the number 3, I decided to divide my page into thirds. So I did sketch it out. I wish I showed you a sketch that I did in my notebook. So I basically divided up my page into 3 sections, and the top section, a middle section, and the bottom section. And my goal was to not put anything in the middle section. So if you want to take on this challenge today, my challenge is to divide your page into thirds and leave one of the thirds kind of empty, or have a few things in it. So you'll see my final page, I mostly have things at the top and the bottom. You could also orient this horizontally as well, so do side to side. So I have gone through my stash and picked out some like teal minty color green papers to kind of go with my photo. That base paper I have right there is a crepe paper from their peppermint collection, which was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And a couple of these other papers are from crepe paper peppermint. And then I have a Dear Lizzie Christmas paper. This one right here with the little kind of circles and leaves on it, that's the Dear Lizzie Christmas, as is the snowflake one actually. The darker teal one, I believe, is that Dear Lizzie Christmas, and one of those is a crepe paper, what was it called? Bundled Up. So I've really gone through my stash and picked out a certain color combo. So I decide to fussy cut out that whole thing, and I don't even end up using it. It's so pretty though. I have been saving that piece of paper to do that with, and was just not the right page for it. So I am going to take it off, but I'm saving it for another page. Maybe you'll see it again. Who knows? So this photo was taken on our trip last winter to New York City. I love going to New York City in the wintertime. It's my most favorite time to go to the city. It's so beautiful there. I just love seeing all the lights and the storefronts and just it's just a beautiful time to go to New York City. So I made this little set of cut files that's kind of like a little cityscape. You got your little skyscraper and a couple other little buildings. And I decided to cut those out of this kind of silver paper. It really does have a metallic sheen to it. It's actually the back of that piece of paper where I did the fussy cutting on that kind of floral leafy print. So really pretty colors there. I am going through a little stash of crepe paper die cuts from their bundled up collection, which was a couple years ago, so not that old. I mean, maybe 2 years. I'm saying that's not that old because in my stash that's not that old. Old in my stash is like 10 or 11 years, which I do have stuff in my stash that's that old. But the colors of that collection really matched the colors that I was using on my page. So I am really just spending a lot of time going through rearranging these squares just perfectly, just to see exactly where I want them and how I want the colors to line up. The piece of flare there is also from the Bundled Up collection, and the letters DEC just for December. They were in this crepe paper pack, but they're not from crepe paper. They're actually, I think they're Bella Boulevard letters. And I had colored and painted them with gold mist a couple years ago when I made a December daily, but I didn't end up using them on my cover of my album. I used different letters instead. So I saved them and put them in with some things I had to use to make my album. And I found them and thought, hey, why don't I use these on a page? Because they're kind of the perfect color. So I decided, instead of fussy cutting out those leaves, that I would fussy cut out snowflakes. So these snowflakes, it's kind of hard to tell right here. There you can kind of see it. They're, well, it's not all of them, but a lot of them have glitter on them. And some of them, like the whole circle is glittery, and others just the snowflake is glittery. They're so pretty. So I'm going to fussy cut out a whole bunch of these and place them around. Yeah, you can really see the reflection of the glitter there when I place them underneath where my lamp light is. And then I have some kind of acetate glitter snowflakes from Me and My Big Ideas. That's a really super old pack as well. And then this Pink Fresh acrylic word that says magic. So I just spend a little while playing with the arrangement of all these things where I want them. And then I kind of stop for the night and come back the next day. And I wasn't, it just wasn't giving me the feeling that I wanted. I wanted it to have a little bit more color, and it was looking very blue. I like it like this. It's pretty, and I love that mint color. It's one of my favorite colors, but it was looking a little blue. So I decided to change it up, and I grabbed a piece of pink paper, which is from a basic gray collection, and I love the contrast that the pink added. So I am going to stick with the pink. However, it was a little bit too dark, and I wanted to tone it down a little bit with some white. I know what you're thinking right now. She put all that stuff on that page just to wipe it off so that she could why didn't she glue anything down? I do that all the time. So it's fine. I know exactly where it is. Sometimes, I have to be honest with you, sometimes I have to go back and look at my video, like and watch a video before to see exactly where I had things placed down because I forgot. So I'm just going to use some gesso here, and I'm just going to rub it on with my fingers. And I kind of want like a misty, swirly look, like a little windblown snow. So I'm going to do some circles with my finger. So I'm just swirling around there. And it dries so fast when you do it like this with your fingers. I'm scooping off every little last bit. And I'm just really putting it where I know it's going to show the most behind the papers, or underneath the papers and the photos there. So yeah, just a little bit of a whitewash. And then I'm going to use a stencil, and this stencil it's actually a cut file from the Just Nick store. I think it's called like swirly background or something like that. I can't remember. And I cut it out of stencil material. So this is a cut file that I cut myself and made a stencil out of. You can buy stencil material at like any craft store. I usually find it in their like woodworking section. And it's like blank stencils for like doing like wall paintings. Like if you're going to make a stencil for painting on a wall, they have blank stencil material. And it comes in really big sheets, and I just cut it down to fit it into my Cameo, and it works awesome to make stencils. And I'm using some modeling paste and just going over some areas with, again, my finger and some modeling paste just to add a little snowy swirl. I've used this cut file before. Now I can't remember what page I used it on. Anyway, I know I used it in a video before. I can't remember what it was for, but I love this. And I was actually going through my stash looking for a stencil that had snowflakes on it, but I couldn't find one. I guess I had one, but the snowflakes were way too big. I wanted tiny ones, but this worked fine. So while that's drying, I am going to go through all of my little rectangles of paper that I used here and distress the edges with my edge distressor. I love the texture that the edge distressor gives, and a lot of times it makes the edges of the papers like a little tiny bit white because you're ripping up the center there. So I love the way that looks. So I'm not going to show you me doing all of those, but now it's time to start gluing. So I'm going to go through this part really quick as well too, and I'm just going to glue these squares on relatively in the same order that I had them. And I'm just gluing the tops, by the way, so that I can kind of curl the ends of the rectangles. By the way, if you look at it right now, the reason I kind of went with this design is it reminded me of buildings as it is laid out, like the skyline. So that's why I use the rectangles like this, because it reminded me of a city skyline. I used a Shimmers mist and then also a Heidi Swapp mist. The Heidi Swapp was pink. I don't remember the Shimmers color. Doesn't really show up very well, but that's fine. I have a lot of other embellishments and stuff on there, so just a little bit is good for this. I wanted to map my photo. I'm using this piece of paper from Basic Gray, that little kind of plaid paper behind it. And that frame is also from the Crepe Paper Bundled Up die cut kit. And I wasn't sure about using that frame because it was kind of a little grungy looking, like a little bit more vintage than I wanted, but I end up using it because it kind of actually matches the gold in the December letters down there at the bottom. So I'm just kind of figuring out where the best place is for all my little bits. And I'm going to cover up that little red part on the frame there. It was just bugging me a little bit. So I used a little phrase strip from Pink Fresh Studios. Now, I was trying to use my stash, but this was calling me. It's the new Snow and Cocoa collection from Crepe Paper. And I've had it sitting on the side of my table because I kept thinking, use your stash before you break into anything new. But oh my gosh, the colors were just perfect and I love it so much. So I don't think I end up using anything from it, but oh my gosh, I can't wait to break into that. Anyway, I found a little heart puffy sticker from Studio Calico line, and then I'm going through this My Mind's Eye little die cut pack. I was looking for a couple more black and white things because I have the tree in the bottom that's black and white, and then the little present to the right of my photo that's black and white. So I wanted something else black and white, and I add that circle underneath my photo in the corner up there. I also wanted to bring in a little bit of gold too, so I have the gold stars and the gold glitter heart. I keep picking up those stickers. And then just to add a little pop of color, I'm going to use these dark pink enamel dots, also from My Mind's Eye. This is silly. I don't know if you're watching me use the dots, but I leave one little tiny dark pink one there. And then I come back and use it eventually because I wanted one more little dot in the top. I don't know why I didn't just use them all to begin with, but that's kind of silly. Okay, so I'm going to skip forward a little bit, got everything glued down, and then I forgot I wanted to do this. I wanted to add in some vellum to add a little bit of softness, and you can see I added 2 rectangles of vellum at the top, and I'm fiddling with a third kind of rectangle here. It's more difficult to see than the other two because I think the other two are a little bit more curled on the edges. Now you can see it better, but I thought the vellum just added a little bit of softness that the page needed, but also added a little bit more shape as well. And it kind of picked up on this kind of translucent softness of the word magic as well. So just that little bit, I think, made a really big difference in the feel of my page. So that just about wraps it up. I've got everything done there. The only thing I add is a little date label at the top, and I add my journaling and one of the empty blue squares, and that's pretty much it. I love how this turned out. I'm really glad I chose the pink background instead of having it all blue. So thanks again for stopping by for day 3, 3 down, 9 to go. And be sure to stop by Kelly's channel as well to see her video for today. Thanks so much, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Happy holidays!